Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Sports Hub podcast. This weekend was Glasgow Derby weekend, the Old Firm weekend, and as you can see with his top, Ian is in celebration mood, whilst I'm not so much. So we'll have a review of that game. Ian can boast. I will try and hold my disappointment back, but then
Yep.
Mitchell will be there in a neutral state to try and keep the peace between Ian and I. We'll then go on to talk about Ronaldo's return to Manchester United, and is this a trend? People returning to their clubs in England, and then the third topic will be Mikel Arteta and Arsenal and their dreadful start to the season, bottom of the league, looking hopeless. Is he the right man to take Arsenal forward? But before we get to then, we'll get back to the topic of the day, topic of the week in Scotland, which is the aftermath of the Old Firm. You were at the game, Ian, today.
Yes, I was there. Happy to be back to an Old Firm game. It's been this first since the 2-0 defeat at Ibrox when obviously I think it was Johnny Hayes. I can't remember the other goal scorer, but it was that one back in 2019, September 2019. So it's been that long since I've been at an Old Firm game. I was at the League Cup final back when obviously the offside goal happened and you won the League Cup. But obviously I was there the day. I'm happy to be back to an Old Firm game. Obviously the score finishing 1-0 to Rangers with a goal from Filip Helander. Obviously the crowd was basically just full of Rangers fans. There was no Celtic fans on in attendance today due to the fact that Rangers handed them tickets and then they basically couldn't guarantee Rangers that we would get the same tickets when it come back to obviously the return game at New Year at Celtic Park. But it was really fun. It was really fun to be there. I was kind of obviously with it going into it, obviously the Rangers, obviously squad issues with the COVID, people having to be in isolation, especially like our manager, our captain, our first two choice goalkeepers, and then obviously Nathan Patterson was out, and I don't know if exactly all of them are isolating, but Calvin Bassey wasn't there, and also Scott Wright, or obviously one of our attackers wasn't there, but going into it, I was very nervous. I'm thinking that obviously it was dangerous. Obviously Celtic have been looking good recently, but I do have that thing of I've been saying to people, obviously with Celtic, obviously having five big high scoring wins the past two games. I did say to them that this is what happened. They had this last season. I can remember the first two games. I think it was Ross County and Livingston or something like that, or Hamilton. So it was Ross County and Hamilton. They had like 5-0 wins in both the first few games in the league. So I was expecting this to be a kind of close game. Yeah. What was your expectations of going into the match, James?
More upbeat than I would have been 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Last season, as we all know, was pretty dreadful from a Celtic perspective. The rebuild as well that we had to do in the summer with Ange coming in so late because of the Eddie Howe pursuit. I didn't expect to be as advanced as we are. So 2 months ago, if somebody said to me, it's going to be quite an even game, one goal in it, I'd probably bite your hand off for it. Going up to the game in the past couple of days, however, I felt that we could have went to Ibrox, create chances and win the game. And we created the chances, but didn't take them. You have to take your chances in football. I thought the game was pretty even. Could have went either way. Rangers took their chance. Celtic didn't. So Rangers deserved to win the game. I'm not going to debate that. But yeah, next time it comes around, we take our chances. I'm pretty confident. This season is not going to be 25 points between the teams. I think there's actually a title race on if Celtic get a couple of flares in before Tuesday.
Yeah. What was your predictions going into it, Mitchell?
Watching it, I kind of thought, I was looking at it like, yeah, it could go, it's got to go either way, but when I saw the lineup, I was like, this might lean in Celtic's favour, just as you say, with so many so many Rangers big names out, and even their bench looking so sparse as well. Like Balogun at right back just didn't sit. I know he can play there, but he's no Patterson or Tavernier. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I'll run through the teams. Obviously, Rangers had in goals Robbie McCrory. At right back, we had Leon Balogun, Connor Goldson, Filip Helander, and Borna Barisic in defence. In the middle of the midfield, Joe Rebo, Stephen Davis, Glenn Kamara, and then up top, we had Ryan Kent, Alfredo Morelos, and Kamar Roof. For Celtic, they obviously had in goals Joe Hart, Anthony Ralston, Stephen Welsh, Carl Starfelt, and also the debutant taking the number 88, as it says here on the Sky Sports app, Joseph Juranovic, obviously. Hopefully, if Borna Barisic stays, two Croatians going at it on that side of the pitch when it comes to the next.
But Juranovic is actually a right back.
Aye,
He played left back today.
But if you think about it, it would be right back and left back going right at it up that side of the pitch, same side of the pitch. Also had Ryan Christie, Cal McGregor, David Turnbull, Leo Abada, Odson Edward, and Kyogo Furuhashi kind of playing out in the left.
Mm-hmm.
Aye, out in the left. Yes. Obviously, there was obviously people saying that. I think Ange Postecoglou has said afterwards, after the game, that he kind of regrets playing Kyogo Furuhashi out in the side, because obviously when he eventually Odson Edward got a book in and they took him off, Kyogo Furuhashi went into the middle and they kind of started coming into play more. I noticed that as well. He's kind of a wee bit more getting the ball more and getting a better delivery than he was when the outside.
The thing about Kyogo is that his talent is finding space and his runs and getting into dangerous positions. He's not somebody who will take somebody one-on-one and dribble past them. So playing him on the left was pretty redundant, I thought. As Ange said, we were pretty limited because James Forrest is out injured, so we were low on wingers. If we played Tom Roderick in the middle and played Christie on the left, I think the transition for the counter-attack would have been exposed through that. So it shows that Celtic are an injury away from not having a team without balance. So we need to add squad depth. And my wish list might be a bit ambitious for the next couple of days, but I want a striker, a left winger, a left back, a centre back, and a central midfielder. We're not going to get it.
Maybe part of that in January if it comes to it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. This is a rebuild season for Celtic. If we get anything out of it, we're a step ahead of where we should be. But saying that, I don't want to take your mood down. I probably won't take your mood down because you probably think I'm going to be talking rubbish. But I don't think Rangers are as good as last season indicates and today indicates.
I think we're still to start getting going. Hopefully, this international break will allow us to rest, get the players out of isolation, though, so then some of them won't be able to go to the international football, their international teams. But I'm thinking sure this break will do us good. Obviously, getting the win today is massive. Coming back for that will be good. Normally, we kind of hate to see an international break come up, but I've heard a few Rangers fans going, it'll do good for us. Obviously, we can recuperate and start working on stuff on training ground, obviously. Pretty sure Morelos isn't being selected for the Colombian squad because Rangers don't want him going out to a red zone. So obviously he's staying back. So he'll be able to work on his fitness. And where I've kind of been slack, I think there was a few people coming back late from the Euros and stuff like that, and never had much of the pre-season wasn't as filled with all the players like Barisic and Kamara and stuff like that. They came in a wee bit later. But going to the match, straight away the ball was punted away up the pitch to Kyogo Furuhashi. You could kind of tell when I was watching the highlights back on our sports scene earlier on. I noticed that it was all going through Furuhashi. He's the kind of like the one that they thought would kind of spark a bit of life into the game. Morelos and Kyogo Furuhashi had very early chances, but the first half was, I would say, the first half of Rangers were very wasteful in midfield. Just making really like slack passes. Even the ever reliable Stephen Davis was making bad passes and just wasn't like clicking. But obviously, and there was also one where obviously the ball got played in. A nice, lovely ball played in by Kyogo Furuhashi into the box, and basically it was like Odson Edward 1-on-1 with the goalie. Basically just had to slit it past the post, but he didn't angle his foot properly, and it hit it past the post. Obviously, Connor Goldson was causing a wee bit of pressure on him, obviously behind him, but I don't think he saw him coming. So I think it was he just accidentally misplaced his foot slightly.
It was it hit his heel.
Yeah,
and one of those things you have to take that chance if you're going to win these games. That was the best chance of the first half.
Yeah, there was also another chance where Ryan Kent hit the post near the end of the first half, like from about just outside the 18-yard box, kind of a low strike hitting the bottom part of the post. Yeah. Um, um, Helen, obviously the goal came from a corner. There was basically a bit kind of long ball, a big cross played into the box. Which got Joe Hart had to jump over. I think it was Odson Edward jumped over him to clear it. He kind of tipped it out. I'm giving you the full action here. He tipped out at the pot of the bar, tipped over the behind the goal, and obviously it was a corner to Rangers. Barisic whipped it in, and Filip Helander managed to get his head on it, blast into the back of the net. Joe Hart did kind of get some sort of hand in it, but it wasn't enough to stop it from going in. Obviously the goal was just basically, it's that kind of like stuff where they do that kind of like trade. It's like they're behind each other and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure where they just kind of all bather up in the box, and then some of them go off different ways, and that's how it happened mainly. But if there was ever going to be a moment in the match where Rangers were going to score, it was going to be for a free kick or a corner, because obviously that's kind of like Celtic's over the past year or so. That's been their weak point. You would say that, eh, James?
Yes,
It used to be our weak point. It used to, because obviously you can just look back to the Scottish Cup final with Hibs scoring 2 corners in the last dying minutes. And when I ever watched back old fun games with Rangers back when the Martin O'Neill days, Celtic were always dominant from corners and set pieces, like the Bobo Baldys and Phil Harrens, the big guys.
yeah,
But
Sutton, Hartson, Varga, Myalbe,
aye, we're a
Bobo.
tall team back then.
Mm.
They were very aerial threat. Most of the games that I watched back, they were very good at aerial threat. Yeah, obviously after the play, I think he took off Odson Edward and brought on Tom Rogic, his Australian counterpart. And then there was a few instances where Robbie McCrory, obviously Rangers goalie, came into play, called into action to stop Kyogo Furuhashi, who got a lovely ball played through him. I think it was by Anthony Ralston. He came running out to the edge of the box and managed to clip the ball away. Kyogo Furuhashi fell to the ground and obviously was, I think it would be able to maybe hurt himself just the way they fell. But it was great gatekeeping. And then there was also a bit where near the end, Furuhashi went on 1-on-1 again and they clipped it across, basically cutting across goal. Robin McCrory managed to get his foot to it like a kind of ice hockey keeper, just clearing it away. Brilliant save. I was so happy, so proud of him for stepping up and being really good. He's one for the future, hopefully. He's normally maybe our next Alan McGregor, because Alan McGregor came through the youth ranks and stuff like that and went on loan numerous times and then eventually came back. And then there was also a bit where obviously Kyogo Furuhashi got another chance, but he was running through and goal, and instead of shooting it, which I probably think he should have, he cut it across, and I think it was Starfelt was running in. I'm not too sure exactly who it was. It was a guy with blonde hair.
Adam Montgomery.
And kind of Rangers managed to get it and get it cleared. And then the last few minutes of the game was when Balogun, Leon Balogun went down here. I have to say, had a terrific game playing it right back. He's not what normally plays it right back. He's always a central defender. But he had a marvellous game, obviously stopping Kyogo Furuhashi for most of it. Perfect tackles. There was one instance where obviously the ball came in the first half. The ball came in for a cross, and the ball fell to Kyogo Furuhashi and in it, but I think that was the Edward chance. But obviously that was obviously caught off there. But there was obviously Balogun went down, and I think it was just a bit of inexperience for McCrory. He chucked the ball out for a throw-in, and obviously it was Celtic's opportunity to pass us the ball back, but there was seconds to go, so Celtic just played the throw-in and try and cross it in, and eventually got a corner. But obviously the corner we managed to get clear of the corner. That was very nervy at the end. I was not looking forward to that corner coming in, hitting the back of the net. But obviously they got it clear, and Rangers fans were loving it. It was really good to get the win after such a kind of week where obviously all the COVID effects, and it just shows you how much of a great squad we've got of players that we can obviously, we'll have 5 or 6 players out, including our manager, and we still managed to do the business. I thought obviously Celtic had most of the possession, but it was kind of both either sides with the amount of shots and attempts at goal. Was there any estimate? What was it that basically you go by the goals?
Expected goals. Celtic edged expected goals. And that's because we had the Edward chance, which was a sitter within the 6-yard box in front of the goal, and that's high expected goals. And the Furiashi chance, he would have actually had a higher expected goal if he cut it back for Christie, because that would have been a tap-in. And then the one that he cut back, he should have took the shot. So he kind of did the wrong way around.
Yeah.
My perspective of the game was that Celtic controlled the first half without really creating anything bar that Edward chance. We were comfortable in the ball, but not penetrating. Second half, Rangers changed their tactics to start pressing. So the way that they did was to put their 2 strikers on the centre backs and got Kent on McGregor to stop Celtic playing out. So that meant Joe Hart had to start playing longer. That suited Rangers. And Celtic didn't really get control of the game until Edward came off and Furiashi went into the middle. So that tactical sub swung the momentum to Rangers. But what the encouraging thing was from a Celtics perspective, even though in the end it didn't come to any fruition in terms of the result, Ange managed to make a tactical change with limited subs. The subs bench for Celtic today was pretty poor, other than Roderick. I managed to make the tactical change to get the balance of the game back into Celtic's momentum. Whereas last season, under Lennon and Kennedy, that game would have went out of Celtic's momentum. So I'm encouraged. It's a building process. Rome wasn't built in a day. Celtic's rebuild this season is gigantic. We're further ahead than most fans would have expected. I'm obviously disappointed. Frustrated is probably a better word, but I'm not in a state of this is a disaster. It's disappointment and frustrating, but it's not a disaster.
Now, coming from talking about obviously the term Ange ball, right? But I feel that this is basically just him playing it for the game in the game is just playing it for the back, smart defending. But at times, you probably saw it as well, James. You're probably getting nervous because if that was me, my team, I'd be probably shitting my pants like every time we're playing it for the back. And there was a few instances where they mucked it up. You see that a few times where they played it and Rangers managed to nip the ball for them. It was always around the centre circle area and they managed to, but we never managed to counter attack on it. Like obviously counter on it, their mistakes. There was a few times where we kind of ran through, but we never really done anything with it. But I do think that's a really, when you come up against the better teams, like obviously it's all right with Dundee and that and St Mirren, but when it comes up against the better teams, I feel that it might be a bit of an error. One of these times there will be an error that happens that will lead to a goal.
Oh, I think that's why.
I think Joe Hart's been watching too much David Marshall at the Euros.
Well,
he really likes. I noticed him. He's like sitting right like halfway up his own side of the pitch.
Oh, it's why we need a left back.
He's really high.
It's why we need another centre back because if you're going to play that style of play, you need
players that are good with their feet,
technically capable of playing it. Juranovic looked good, even though he wasn't playing his position today. He looks a good player. I actually felt Starfelt had a good game. There was a couple of small mistakes, but I thought he played well. Welsh is okay. I think he's somebody who should be on the bench, not a starting centre back. And then Greg Taylor, who would have played if he was fit, he tries his best, can't fault his effort, but he's not Celtic quality. Again, he should be on the bench. As should Ralston. Again, tries his best, but I think he's played really well the past couple of weeks. But he's not the quality that we expect at Celtic. But Juranovic is there and he's good. Joe Hart, short-term fix. As you say, Ange likes the goalkeeper to play the ball with his feet, and that's not Joe Hart's strength.
You might need Manuel Neuer to do that.
But when your other goalkeepers are Barkas and Bain, you're going to play Joe Hart every day of the week. So we're a couple of players short, but it's Ange has a style of play. It's very attractive to watch, very attacking, which is the Celtic way. So Yeah, I hope he keeps it up. I hope he gets the players in to implement the style in full. It is nerve-wracking at times, but that's part of the joy of it.
I do think most of Celtic's possession came from them working at the back, because at times Joe Hart was just standing there with the ball at his feet and waiting for it to try and find a person to pass it out to. There was at times where one time he hit it out wide and it went for a throw in, and sometimes he didn't meet the man, and obviously Rangers managed to sneak in and get it away, get in and intercept it from them. But yeah, it's a very nerve-wracking game. I'd be shit myself if I was a Celtic fan and watching it every week. I used to hate it when Mark Warburton used to love playing it for the back, and it'd be Forderingham playing it to the guys at the back, and they're very like inexperienced at playing it, and they'd muck it up all the time. And Forderingham wasn't the greatest with the ball at his feet at times, so it was always nerve-wracking every time he got the ball at his feet. But it was a very 50-50 game. Rangers definitely came into it in the second half, managed to get, I would say, most of it. Obviously, Celtic did have their chances in the second half that they should have maybe took. But at the end of the day, I'm really happy with the result, and also international break now with Scotland.
Yeah, I've got one question for Mitchell, because he's not said a lot
he's not.
In this topic. And obviously, this is the biggest game in Scottish football in terms of audience and world knowledge. As somebody who watches English football more and European football more, how was the standard of play today? So you've got Ian and I talking about how exciting it was. As somebody who probably can be described as a neutral, were you thinking this is a lot of rubbish, or is this actually quite a good game?
It actually was quite a good game to watch. I think, as Ian said, like the first half, Celtic dominated, but it's because Rangers just couldn't string passes in the midfield. It's like that's what let them down. That's kind of was like a downside to the game. It's like Rangers couldn't string anything together, but it's like second half changed that up, started dominating, and Celtic made that tactical change. So the game definitely had the ebb and flow, made it a good watch, because you kind of never knew which way it was going, which is always nice. Which is always a nice thing in football. Like if you're watching it to enjoy, like back and forth. It was back and forth the entire 90.
Yeah. When obviously McCrory made that one of the saves for Kyogo Furuhashi with his feet, everybody in Ibrox basically just gave him a massive, like, stood up. I stood up on my seat and we're giving him a round of applause. It was really nice to give him a round of applause, because a young goalkeeper, and he made a few like really good saves in such a big game, stepping in, and yeah, it was really nice. And then after the game, I was enjoying having a good old sing song to some of the pop songs we were playing on the speaker system. Live It Up was one of them. It was a good one.
So you've won the game. Do you think this is the platform to win the league title?
Hopefully we can improve ourselves a wee bit when we come back for the break. Push on. Don't get beat at like Dundee United and places like that. The only place I've got to fear of going it is probably Tynecastle. That's always a place where I like to go. We've not got Kilmarnock this year to worry about, thankfully, and there's only one artificial surface, that is Livingston. But I think it'll hopefully be okay. And hopefully we can push on and maybe sustain a wee bit of lead. Get in front of those Hearts and those Edinburgh mob, especially that Gavin Smith's Hearts. They're just well, to be honest, James, we'll finish like 25 points in front of them. It happens every year. They're there for a wee bit. They think they're doing all right. They're top of the league, and then eventually we just sing it away. Happens every year. I said that last year to my pal when we were like a few points within Hibs and that, and I was like, we'll be 25 points behind you. And it was a gap of 25 between Rangers and Celtic, never mind Rangers and Hibs. So
you're confident?
I'm hoping confident. 56 is on the way, but we'll wait and see. There's still plenty of time to go. It's 4 games in. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. Even if we got beat today, I'd still be going, defeat happens. It comes and goes. We'll get another chance. But obviously, I think it's the 2nd of January at Parkhead, the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm guessing there'll be no Rangers fans in attendance in that one. I think eventually the next one back at Ibrox, that's when the fans will be back in and we'll give you... Because it is good to have the fans there, but the night of the day, Ibrox was really good to have all the Rangers fans there, and the Union Bears display before the matches. There are two types of displays. I had one, and then they changed it, and it was really well done. Really nice. It was good to be back to an Old Firm game.
Well, one excitement.
Glasgow Derby, if you like to call it your way.
Well, Ian's obviously excited about the result today. Other people excited this week are Manchester United fans because of the news that Cristiano Ronaldo is set to return to Manchester United. Mitchell, what's your thoughts on the return?
It's a big signing. I think United fans have to be careful. It's not the same Ronaldo they're getting. Like, obviously, it's not Mr. Takes everyone on down the wing, does a couple of fancy step overs. It's put the ball in the box, let him head it, let him tap it in. He'll score you the goals if you give him the service. And I think I think between him and Cavani, if they've got them rotating as number 9s, I think this is a great signing for United. Despite him rumoured to be the highest paid Premier League player ever, with what the contract sounds like.
Yeah. For me, myself, I was happy that he never went to Man City, because I feel that Man City just do not need Ronaldo in their team. They've got plenty of backup in that area. They've got Foden, they've got Grealish. I feel that it would just be wasted if he went to Man City, and also the fact that it would got to be like him going to, if he was an old Rangers player, it would be like him going to Celtic. It's the rivalry there, Man City and Man United. Going back to Man United feels right for him. Obviously being there beforehand, he's Alex Ferguson would have been happy if he had went to Man City for one. So it's good to see him back at Man United. I think he'll do well for them. Obviously, they have got a kind of like area where they need a bit more strength and depth up there. They've got Cavani. Would you say Ronaldo is a striker, like, not an out-and-out striker, like playing in the number 9 role?
Last few years, he's definitely been a 9. He's not got the same pace to play. He's not got. Doesn't have the same trickery. I think ever since I think it was Mourinho played him at 9 against Barcelona and told him just score the goals. That's kind of how he's always been since then.
He's still got it. When I saw him at the Euros, obviously it was the Euro 2020, he's a top goal scorer. And some of the tricks that I saw him doing, there was a one trick in, I think it was a game against Germany. I think obviously Germany went on to win 4-2 in that game. There was like this wee kind of like back heel clip that he did over Rudiger. And it was just sublime. It's just like people just seem able to do that kind of tricks. He was brilliant. I think he'll be exciting to see him back in the Premier League since all those years ago when obviously Sir Alex was the manager, and it'll make it a bit entertaining. And Man United have had really good signings this year. Yeah, definitely better than being in Serie A. I'm struggling to be able to see him because obviously I think it is on obviously BT Sport nowadays, Serie A, but it's definitely good to see him back in the Premier League with Man United.
What about your thoughts, James? Do you think it's good bringing him back, or are you just gutted he's not going to Tottenham?
Oh no, when that rumour flirted about, I was saying a lot of rubbish. He's obviously Ronaldo, one of the two of the best players in this generation, if not ever to play the game. So from that point of view, it's a good signing. But from what I've read, it's nearly £500,000 a week in wages. Yes, they'll make a lot of money in terms of shirt sales and so on. But is he worth that? I'm not even taking the argument of football players are paid too much. That's within the context of the wages that football players get. I just think it's an extraordinary amount of money for somebody. Yes, he'll score goals, but is he the first name on the team sheet? I don't think so. Maybe for the big games, but not for your. I don't know, like if they're playing, playing Watford at home, Are they going to be playing Ronaldo, or are they going to say he's 36, so maybe we'll play Cavani this game, so Ronaldo's fresh for the big games? I just think it's a lot of money. I think there's a lot of nostalgia, romanticism, the prodigal son in this. He's going to score goals. He's going to win them games, but I don't think he's worth that amount of money. I think there would have been better waiting a transfer window and signing somebody like Haaland rather than spending £500,000 a week.
Yeah, definitely. It's big that it will make them loads of money with shirts, because I've already jumped on the Messi train and bought myself a PSG top for the first time with Messi 30 on the back. That'll be coming in the next few days. And you'll make money in seconds. And it'll probably pay for his wages. I'm pretty sure, obviously, the transfer fee was around the fee of 20 million, I've heard. Obviously, I'm pretty sure that Juventus bought him for about 100, so they've obviously lost out in money. But see, when they bought him, they'd have made that money in shirt sales.
Yeah.
And they'll probably still be selling shirts with Ronaldo in the back now.
You've also got to remember,
Even though he's left.
They're now, well, everywhere outside of England, basically, they're all losing money hand over fist. They've got to get wage bills down, and I think that's one of the main reasons why Ronaldo was up for sale, because Juve just couldn't afford his wages anymore.
I saw that as well. Was it like AC Milan getting a lot? Obviously, they got rid of Inter Milan, got rid of Lukaku, and they've been having to get rid of players and stuff like that. Bad for the country that just won the European Championships, eh?
Yeah.
It looks like people are going there as well for their players and stuff like that as well nowadays.
I read in the paper today that the new Juventus manager actually said one of the conditions of his taking the job was that he wouldn't play Ronaldo, and that he ideally wanted him out, but if he didn't leave, he'd be a sub.
I'm guessing the manager's a Messi fan.
No, I think he's somebody who is the manager? Is it Allegri? Is it
Allegri?
Massimo
Allegri?
Yeah, I'm guessing it's somebody who demands a high work ethic, because Welsh Ronaldo, a cracking player, he's not at the age where you can play a high press with him as your centre forward.
Even as a 36-year-old, he's still got plenty of legs left in him. Davy Weir, obviously, Davy Weir was a defender, but he played until his 40s.
You could at least go. Have you got to choose someone?
I was going that. They can play to their 40s, right? Messi will play to his 40s.
I think that's the first time
Ryan,
I've heard Davy Weir be compared to
Ronaldo. Ronaldo would play. Look at the physique of the man. He's still fit as a fiddle.
Yeah.
He's still
I think that's the difference with, like, you look at Ronaldo. He has sacrificed so much for his football career that he's kept himself in such great shape that he will. I think Man United could easily probably get this season, possibly next season, out of him if they needed to. But I think if they're smart, they'd try and cut ties a Joe Hart, quick.
On the TV here, I'm currently watching BT Sport. Obviously, there was PSG game was on it, and I've got a poll up here from BT Sport, and it says, will Lionel Messi win the Champions League with PSG? And 67% of the people say no. That's pretty. 67%.
67 in Champions League's a good number.
If he can't win it with 67, if he can't win it with PSG, well, obviously he's won it before, so it's not as if he's needing it. But if PSG don't win the Champions League anytime soon, then it's never going to happen.
One question that I saw doing the rounds today, I know what my answer would be, is who's had the better transfer window, PSG or Man United? Because people have said Varane, Sancho and Ronaldo is the equivalent of Donnarumma, Hakimi, Messi, and there's somebody else in there. Who? Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Who do you think's had the better transfer window?
You've also missed Ramos as well.
And Ramos, yes. Sorry, Richard.
I think when you look at you look at PSG, you've got Ramos, Ronaldo, Messi. They're all in their 30s, but then you've got Donnarumma and Hakimi, who are both young talents. And then you look, no offense, you go to compare that to Man United. You've got Varane, who didn't look that great at Madrid without Ramos last year, but I don't think Madrid looked that great all over. But Varane didn't cover himself in glory at all. Sancho, great for Dortmund, but he kind of the sheen of him seems to have gone off since the Euros, where he kind of got benched every game, and he seems to be getting starting from the bench most games for United, other than today. And who's that one? And Ronaldo. Well, we said about Ronaldo. Ronaldo, it might start, it might not. As you say, it just depends on. I think Ronaldo will want to play every game he can. He's that sort of player. He's got that sort of hunger for it. But based on that, I think PSG have still had the better transfer window. Because I'm sure Messi's only on like less than 100k a week. It's like, he took a huge he took a huge pay cut from Barcelona to join them. I mean, obviously, he's got winning mentality. You've got Ramos has got the winning mentality. Wijnaldum, kind of winning mentality. He's won
the league.
Yeah.
Won the league and the Champions League. And the Club World Cup.
There's three Champions League experience of winning it. But then you kind of look at, I think, going back to Ian's thing about the poll, you look at PSG, and the reason they kind of started coming undone is because they get very petulant. And no offense, Ramos is not one to help that. Ramos is one of the most petulant players you can ever watch.
For me, well, obviously, I would say the best goalkeeper in the world right now is probably Donnarumma, and PSG got him for free.
Yeah.
How the hell did AC Milan allow that to happen? Obviously, he must have been stubborn and not wanted to sign a new contract, so obviously Zenit's contract ran out. But my God, I'd be gutted if I was in AC Milan losing it and our goalkeeper, who's been there for years, for nothing. The best.
I agree. He's a cracking player and he's so young. So PSG.
It feels like he's been around for years, but he's still only a 23-year-old.
Yeah, so he's going to be PSG's keeper for the next 10 years if they want him.
Keylor Navas can just go to retirement.
He comes to Celtic. But you also mentioned earlier, Mitchell, about the wages and the financial impact of COVID and how a lot of teams on the continent are having to cut their wages. And then earlier, before the podcast, we were talking about Ronaldo only being one of the players returning to England. Who are the other examples that you thought of?
Well, the other two big obvious ones are leaving Inter and coming back. You've got Ashley Young going back to his first club of Aston Villa, which is a very shrewd signing by Villa. I think Villa have done a really great business. He's experienced, league winner multiple times, can still do a job defensively. Why not? And then my personal favourite, Romelu Lukaku, going back to Chelsea. He's played 2 games, and the difference he's made just watching him play how Chelsea play, it's night and day. Like, as much as I like Timo Werner,
I would like to pick up on that point because against Arsenal, yes, Lukaku was great. Yesterday, glimpses of what he brings the team, but Van Dijk had him in his pocket, I would say.
I'd say they kind of went. I would say it kind of went a bit equal actually. I think obviously with Reece James getting sent off didn't help matters, especially when Lukaku's having to just fight with all the long balls that are thumped up to him. But there was a couple of times whenever the ball Chelsea managed to get the ball back and play it out to him, get into him, he held it up. He got us turn, gave us a bit of respite, and it was just a case of you had Mount breaking forward and maybe Kovacic. It was a case of like we were not committing weren't committing enough men forward, which makes sense because we only had 10. And it's like I think that's the difference. Like he's doing that, like he's still able to hold up against Van Dijk, who's supposedly meant to be one of the best centre backs in the world, which I'm not going to doubt. But I'm just saying that for any Liverpool fans who seem to claim that.
I
But, yeah,
claim it. Oh, so you obviously played for the green and white as well.
I thought Southampton played in red and white.
Pardon?
I thought Southampton were red and white. I can't remember any other team before that.
Oh, he played for Gudjon in Holland, who also happened to play in green and white.
Yeah.
So,
I think I saw him play once where Rangers and Celtic was a League Cup semi-final, and it was obviously one where I think Celtic won 2-0 or something like that. It was the first Old Firm game since 2011 or 2012. That one night. But I'm shocked that he ended up such a big club and he's won the Champions League, but that's good. But I never really saw much of the Chelsea Liverpool game. I just saw the handball. Thought it was it was definitely like he handballed it and then he flicked his can. Yeah, he did kind of flick his hand at it. After it hit it, he obviously hit it away, but I think VR got the right one there, I think.
I think when you look at the laws of the game, it's a weird one. Like if he was like 6 yard on the 6 yard line, it hit his thigh and it's hit his arm.
I probably didn't bother about it.
Because he's on the goal and decide a clear goal
Yeah.
scoring opportunity. It kind of had to be, and as you say, I think the fact he flicked his arm out, I think didn't help him.
Yeah.
Even when he looked at when they went over to VAR, it was kind of that was what he saw. He didn't see the rest of it. So I think that's what Tuchel and Azpilicueta both said. Like he went across, he looked at a couple of frames. And I still think he was unlucky the fact that obviously he had to be there. He had to be on the line to try and block it because Havertz went to sleep. But
yeah.
I think I do feel like I wish he hadn't got the legs. I think that changed the game.
When I think of handballs like that, I always think back to the 2010 World Cup when Luis Suarez, obviously playing for Uruguay, plays for basically put his hand out and stopped. I think it was Ghana getting the goal, and then Ghana got the penalty. He got sent off, and he's standing in the kind of like the tunnel area watching the penalty get hit, and the Ghana player misses it, and he's celebrating.
One that I remember is Carlos Cuellar at Parkhead.
Was it handball right in the line?
There was a cracking.
Was that no Hesselink goal at the end?
Yeah, the 2-1 game.
I remember Nacho's goal, and that was brilliant.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be us pushing on to win the league that time, but it never happened. But we still won 2 trophies that year, so I was happy in a way. We went to the UEFA Cup final. 1-2. I always said this as well. See, when you got to the UEFA Cup final, James, you won nothing, but we won 2.
We did win something.
I can remember that time, right? We won
the FIFA fan reward because our fans were impeccably behaved at the UEFA Cup final. 80,000 people went to Seville, no arrests. We got an award for FIFA for it. How did your fans behave at Manchester?
Well, I was in the stadium, and then walking back, there was basically the police cordon around the city centre area. There was basically just big guy, wee guy, big guy, wee guy, like Simpsons, all the way around the city. The Simpsons movie. That was it. And we eventually had to try and get back to the city centre to get a train back to our car. And we managed to, but it was bad. It was drunk people that had been drinking all day, probably since the morning. The camera, the big screens at the square cut out, and they can't watch the games, so they obviously started flinging bottles at the screens and then went mad. But on that run up to the UEFA Cup final, we used in the UEFA Cup final, I can remember going to the Rangers Celtic game just before it. All the Celtic fans had their sombreros and their beach balls, and there was one time, as I can remember, there were Celtic fans came along to the game with their newspapers, and we're just sitting out with their newspapers in front of them, kind of taking the mick out of us, and they're flashing as we're passing the buses on the way to the game, flashing the UEFA Cup final tickets at us in the windows of the buses. It's a good laugh. But I was there for that game, obviously the last game of the season against Dunfermline when Dunfermline laid down to us.
Well, before we go on to a detour of Helicopter Sunday, Mitchell, you're a Chelsea fan. We have to put this out there before I ask this question. What's the better signing, Ronaldo for Manchester United or Lukaku for Chelsea?
To try to be unbiased here, I think when you look at Ronaldo, I think as a club for the club, Ronaldo's probably the better signing because the revenue he's going to generate just from shirt sales alone is going to be huge, and you're going to have so many. You've seen it with PSG; they've gained so many followers because Messi went to them. It's going to happen again. Man United will get influx of Ronaldo followers, but I think overall though, I would give it as Lukaku. Lukaku's younger. He's going to have he's going to have probably a couple more. He's got, I think, a 5-year deal, which takes him up to 33. So, going to be probably near the end of his peak, I think, just judging by the way he plays and the size of him. Whereas Ronaldo, he could last for another 2 or 3 years, or he could do one big injury and that could be him. And I think in terms of what they've added to the squad, I think Chelsea feels like the last piece, almost feels like the last piece of the puzzle, whereas for Man United it feels more like a band-aid over a problem, a short-term fix.
Well, yeah, that's good to know. Well, I think we've covered this conversation, so let us know in the comments if you think Ronaldo is the best signing in the transfer window thus far, or is Lukaku returning to Chelsea better, or Ashley Young, or anyone else. Let us know in the comments below. Mitchell mentioned a band-aid at the end of that. I think Arsenal need more than a band-aid with their current form. I think we need to have a disclaimer before we begin talking about Arsenal.
Maybe Bob Geldof will set up a support concert for them.
Well, I was going to say the disclaimer is I support Spurs.
I'm a Spurs fan as well.
And Mitchell's a Chelsea fan.
Yeah.
So we are bridging divisions to pick on the common enemy.
Do you have any Arsenal fans in the Sport Hut podcast?
No.
I don't think so, no.
So the reason for talking about them is that Arsenal, the mighty Arsenal, are bottom of the Premier League. And looking at the performances, they deserve to be bottom of the Premier League, and that's even the worrying thing if you're an Arsenal fan.
They must feel like Great Britain at the Eurovision right now. Neil Black.
Great Britain's performance at the Eurovision was better.
I think you see the bottom of the table, and also we just came off transfers. I think even in the terms of transfer dealings, they've been one of the worst in trying to get transfers in. Because I think we're talking about, you said PSG was obviously signed Hakimi, Donnarumma, Ramos, Messi, who else am I missing? I'm missing Ronaldo. You've got that. You then got City have signed Jack Grealish. Nah, not too fun. Chelsea, Lukaku, even United with Sancho, Varane, and now Ronaldo. And you look at, and yet they've still not spent more than Arsenal, who have bought Ramsdale, Ben White. I can't remember who the third guy is.
Ben Shite.
The Congo.
And they spent 150 million. Odegaard, that was it. It was Odegaard. Between them, it's like you've spent more.
And a couple of seasons ago, 72 million for Nicolas Pepe.
Yeah.
And I think, is it something like 300,000 a week for Aubameyang?
Which is, was that not the reason that, was it Aaron Ramsey left and Aubameyang that fee?
Yeah. And then you've got Lacazette as well on crazy wages. William Saliba, bought him for a lot of money. He's been put on loan. Hector Bellerin, they can hardly get off their wage bill.
He's more worried about the way he looks when he's out and about. He loves his designer. Sure.
You've got Grant Xhaka getting sent off, but on a crazy amount of money as well.
Put him in a Switzerland top. And he played brilliantly.
It's scary when you think of that. Like Switzerland is like such a different player. Where I was watching it. I think I was watching. It was either Sky Sports last night or today, or was it one of Sky Sports today? I think it was Sky Sports News this morning, and I think since the 2016-17 season, something like that, he's been sent off more than any other player. I think only people that were close to him were like David Luiz, was just like David Luiz, and I can't remember who the other one was. Someone else who was known for getting red cards.
Oh, that's another name to mention. You've got David Luiz, William, crazy wages, not really deserved in terms of performance. Also, they're still paying a lot of his wages. So when we ask, is Arteta the right man for Arsenal? Do we have to take into account their transfer dealings, which he's not really responsible for?
I think so. I think not just transfer deals. I think you've got to look at the players as well. Like as we said with Xhaka getting sent off, Aubameyang and Lacazette have not been at it. Pepe, you could never have. Pepe was great. I think was it Lille he was with beforehand. Great for them. You would never have guessed he would have been such a hit and miss so far. But then you've got to look at a couple of things like. I don't think his tactics are bad. Because I think he sets up tactically quite well. He's given team problems. Like last season when they played Chelsea, when I saw the team sheet and it was all the young boys, I was like, shit. Because he's a good manager. He's tactically good. I think it's just all the old experienced players just aren't turning up from. You get the young guys in like Saka, Nketiah, Smith Rowe, Maitland-Niles. They turn into a different team because they're players that want to play for the shirt. I think that's part of Arsenal's problem. Not enough of them want to play for the shirt.
I agree with that, and obviously this is heavily biased. I think one player you can add to that is Kieran Tierney, of one of the players who show passion and commitments, and is one of the standouts when watching Arsenal. But this is his fourth transfer window as Arsenal manager. Surely the squad should be in the shape that he wants it.
I have one comment about that.
Yes.
Big Stan.
But they spent 150 million. You've just highlighted that.
Yeah.
So Stan's not really the problem if they're spending that amount of money.
I know, but the problem is, you're spending that amount of money, but they're spending it on, only like a couple players, whereas they're not like spending that across 6 or 7. It's like on 2 or 3.
How's that Stan's fault? Surely that's more Edu's fault.
That is very true, actually.
Stan the owner.
Yeah.
Stan Kroenke. Aye. Yeah. For me, obviously, Mikel Arteta obviously ended his career at, I don't know if he ended, did he end his career at Arsenal and then went into basically coaching? Then obviously was as assistant manager or one of the coaches to Pep Guardiola at Man City, and then eventually obviously Unai Emery came in at Arsenal, then he got chucked out, and then Mikel Arteta just took his place. And I feel he's obviously inexperienced in a way. We could call him a rookie manager. And I think he's been chucked in there. And if you look at like teams like the Arsenal squad back in 2001 or something like that, 2002, when they're the Henrys and that, right? And you look at it nowadays, it's just not the same. They've not got the same model or the same like caliber of players that they did back then. Back then they were spending money, but now obviously they are spending money now. But they weren't going out. They're not going out and getting the big names. Like definitely not the same like Perez's, and obviously Tony Adams and Sol Campbell, who were mainly players from England, brought up in England, but they've not got the same standard of players that they did now. Obviously, I would say probably Kieran Tierney or like Saka are their best players. But Aubameyang's great on his day. He's a great striker. But I feel that they've not got like, so if you look at like the back line, the names are pretty unknown. I've never heard the Holding. No one knew much about them. I saw this person on thingy saying about Kieran Tierney that he left Celtic to go and basically be a defensive partnership, basically slating him for going there to be a defensive partnership with these guys. And I was like, it's not as if he's tried to up his game. He's going to a Premier League club. It's not really worked out for him as such. Yeah, he kind of gets a wee niggle injuries every so often, But I feel like Mikel Arteta, if he keeps it up this way, it won't really last very long. And you know how Arsenal fans love to do their hashtags. maybe they'll bring Wenger back at some point. Wenger in.
It's interesting because, as we say, it's been a terrible start of the season for Arsenal.
Worst start since 1954, I believe. I read somewhere.
Yeah, something along those lines.
I think they need to move back to Highbury, just knock down Emirates Stadium and rebuild Highbury again.
So, so they've had a terrible start to the season. Well, the past couple of seasons haven't been great either for Arsenal standards. Is it Arteta's fault?
I think the decline started in the final years of Wenger. I think Wenger, as much as he was an Arsenal legend for them, and always will be, I think he stayed too long.
Yeah, definitely.
I felt a bit knee-jerk who they were getting in. They kind of just, I think they got Emery and never really backed Emery either.
And it never lasted very long.
No. Again, like he lasted a little bit, and obviously we've got Arteta, and it's like, no offense to Arteta, but you've given Arteta the job, and his coaching CV is assistant to Pep Guardiola. At least with Lampard, he had championship playoff final with Derby for years. Like, it's not much, but it's a bit more. He was actually on his own 2 feet.
I think with obviously around that time, you also had that maybe Arsenal just went the cheap route and went, oh, there's other clubs that are adding ex-players and being the managers. So obviously Man United have got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. What do you call it? Chelsea had Frank Lampard, stuff like that, just playing in it. And I think there's maybe just went like that. Obviously, they knew that he had some sort of coaching background and they could just basically be an easy fix at the time.
You've got Pep Guardiola, who rates Arteta very highly. So there's obviously a coach in there. And you've got, yes, he's had time to rebuild the squad, but offloading players has been incredibly difficult because the wages that Arsenal are offering the older players are just stupid money. So whilst he's had time, the offloading has been difficult. But this transfer window, they have spent, they're okay players, but they're not going to change this Arsenal team into a winning team. So is that Arteta's fault, or is that Edu's fault, who's the director of football?
It depends how much. I think we're speculating how much say Arteta has in it. If Arteta's had say in all these transfers, I would highly question him, because Ben White, yes, he's good for Brighton, but he's not the sort of centre back that Arsenal need. They don't need someone that's good in the ball. They need someone that can defend. You'd be better spending 50 or maybe probably up to probably 70 million for like Lewis Dunk or something like that.
It'd have been better going with Shane Duffy.
Yeah, that's stretching it a little, but
he scored a goal last week.
Yeah, that's very true. And then obviously like Ramsdale's like, Leno's still young. Leno's got years ahead of him. I don't get where Ramsdale comes from, because Ramsdale's got, and you look at Ramsdale's record, he's usually one of the best players in the teams that he's been with, but they've all got relegated. So you're like, is he really that good, or is it just he looked that good but he was having to do that much? One of those sort of situations with him.
So, Ian, you're
Yes.
Stan Kroenke just now. Do you sack Arteta or do you give him time?
Give him a wee bit more longer, see how it goes. If there's another few defeats in the league, he can't win any points, then get rid of him. But at the moment, I think it'll be a bit too quick at the shotgun to get rid of him now. So give him a few more games. If it doesn't work out, you can always recover the loss of having no points at the moment. But I would give him a wee bit more time. If it doesn't work out, then get rid of him. And then you need to think really hard about it of who you're going to bring in. Or maybe start thinking now.
Mitchell, sack or keep?
Think keep international break. If they get beat off Norwich and it's a bad loss, like if it's a bad loss to Norwich, I think he'll be gone after that. I think you to appease the fans as much as anything, because as we said, we know what Arsenal TV are like. Sorry, Arsenal fans, not just Arsenal TV. But I think just at that point, I think he's at a lost cause, and I think it's for his own good maybe before he gets tarred with this brush.
At the same time, the 3 games he's played is obviously newly promoted Brentford away, Chelsea at home, and then Man City away. 2 big clubs. If had obviously 2 big ones, that's the ones you would expect their teams maybe to go in and get defeated in. The bigger ones.
2 Champions League finalists.
Yeah, both of them are Champions League finalists. But I'll give him a chance to see how he does against the weaker clubs. If he can get a few wins in there, then good. But if it doesn't work out for him against the weaker clubs, then maybe get rid of them. But need to think really hardly about who you're going to bring in. Maybe just give Unai a wee call.
I would give Arteta time. And I would probably be looking at the role of Edu and saying, can we get somebody with more experience and with a vision?
Is that Edu an old footballer?
Yes, former Arsenal player.
Yeah.
But somebody with more experience, somebody with a better eye for the market.
Just as long as it's not Ross Wilson from Rangers, that I'm happy with that.
It can be him if they want. But yeah, and the final question is, you both said you'll give him time, but if it doesn't work out, he's gone. Who's replacing him?
Ooh,
Who's available?
that's our question.
Well, try and think of somebody realistic who.
I think as much as I think Eddie Howe could be a shout. And I'm not just saying that, but Eddie Howe's got experience in the Premier League. He kind of plays he tries to play the football that Arsenal fans like, the expansive attacking football. It seems like a better fit than someone like Fireman Sam or Tony Pulis or like someone like that who's hunker down, play the ball long, win scrappy games, get out of it.
Isn't Piers Morgan an Arsenal fan?
Yes, he is.
Bring in Piers Morgan.
Piers Morgan.
Good morning, Britain.
Piers
on the
Morgan
shots.
And Eddie Howe.
Well, Brendan Rodgers, but I don't know if he could do that to obviously Savicai's son. He's the boy that runs Leicester. I don't think he could break his heart that much and leave Leicester.
You're never going to leave Leicester for Arsenal just now.
No.
So it's not realistic. 2, Brendan will never walk out of a club that he likes during a season.
I thought you said walk alone there.
Eddie Howe. I see the Eddie Howe in terms of playing football, but if he can't handle the pressure of Celtic, he can't handle the hysteria of Arsenal TV.
So he's still out of job?
Yeah, he is still out of job. So I don't think, for football style wise, I think, great match, but for personality, I don't think Eddie Howe, if it's Eddie Howe or Arteta, you may as well keep Arteta. There's not many managers out there who scream as an immediate improvement from Arteta who would actually be attracted to Arsenal? Just now.
I've just googled the transfer market because it gives you like a wee list. I'm just gonna name like maybe like the top like maybe first couple that we know. Ernesto Valverde, ex Barca.
Yeah.
Ike Sentien, again ex Barca. You've got Lampard, which I don't see happening. Andrea Pirlo. Antonio Conte.
Antonio Conte was a great manager for Arsenal. I would have liked him at Tottenham. Well, of course, we've got big
I think
Santos. I'm going to call him. What's his name? I think in the Spurs manager. It's Santos Escobar.
Nuno Espirito
Santos.
That's it.
It's bad when this Chelsea fan knows the Spurs fan.
It's just got a long name. He's got a lovely beard.
Yeah, I think there's a better club for Conte out there if he's patient.
Yeah. Paulo Fonseca, that would be good.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
See that name, right? I listened to the Football Daft podcast with Grado, right? And I was like, they were talking about managers for Spurs. It was around the time that Steven Gerrard was favourite for the Spurs job, right? And he's like, yeah, it'll be a good move for him. And then Stephen Purden, all of a sudden the show's like, will it be? Will it though? And he's like, but there's been lots of managers going for that. Paulo Fonseca. And he's like, tell me, John, what's Paulo Fonseca done? And he goes, what has he done? Let me go and check him on Google. And they take the piss at him for it. It's like, he said, Fonseca will be a great manager. It doesn't even care what he's done. Anyway.
So I think we've concluded that there's no quick fix solution for Arsenal just now. It's as well as not playing well. There's contractual issues, structural issues, transfer issues, ownership issues, and a lack of good managers available. So as a Tottenham fan, I'm quite happy. But no, seriously, it is pretty sad seeing the fall of Arsenal. They're a good club. They should not be bottom of the Premier League.
Yeah, it's sad seeing them fall because they were a big club, and they had the rivalries with Chelsea, Spurs. They're becoming something. Man United, obviously the historic one. Obviously, if they were back where they were, possibly Man City and Liverpool now obviously being title challengers. But their demise gives you one thing: Arsenal fan TV and their sheer hilarity that it is.
Indeed.
I'm not gonna say any more because I think we might get a mention on their YouTube channel, and I don't think they say very nice things about us.
All press is good press, Mitchell.
My favourite moment of Arsenal fan TV has got to be sadly the late great Big D, who was on Storage Hunters, the big massive guy with the blonde hair. It was a thing when it was in September. It was like September, start of the season, and he gets asked the question, we're going to win the league, and he goes, of course we're going to win the league. We're Arsenal. And then it comes to like January and it goes, we're fucked. It just comes up my memories all the time. But that guy passed away a few years back, so peace out to him, rest easy, Big D.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments if Arteta should be given time or should he be given the sack. And how do you solve the Arsenal crisis? We look forward to reading your essays. I'm
in here. I can't comment on the thing. It's not on me. Just make the comments.
To end, we've got the traditional round table. We don't know what this is, but yes. Ian is going to take the lead.
So that I've heard this brought up in another podcast before, so I'll go with this. It is the round table is topic the funniest chants you've ever heard at a football match. So for me, I'm going to go with my pick. So obviously my one was you've heard the song for Alan McGregor. Obviously he dies to the left, he dies to the right. Alan McGregor, he shags 10 birds a night, right? But there was one time where the Neil Alexander was playing in goals. So they sung, he dies to the left, he dies to the right. Neil Alexander stays home with his wife. That's pretty funny. There was one time when I was at a game, there was this old kind of guy. See when you go to the joke shops and you get the funny glasses with the nose and the wee moustache, right? There was this guy who used to sit up behind me at Ibrox, and he had some of the like stuff he would come away with sometimes, like just shouting out, and you're like, what the hell are you on? There was one time where he shouted out, "Get Nacho Novo on," and he had been on the field for about 10 minutes.
Fun.
Any what funny ones you've heard?
I think it's not quite funny. It's funny in how bad they are, but have you ever seen videos of like American soccer fans in there?
Aye.
They
Yeah.
are hilarious. It's just like
Let's go Chicago.
Oh, I know what is it? Fight and win. What? It's funny because how bad they are. It's like, oh, and to be fair, they've got great little dance routines and everything to go with them.
Jumping a bit like this.
Well, I think one of them I've seen, I think was it Oklahoma maybe? They've got like a wee shuffle that they do. It's like
aye, back and forth.
It's like they're funny because they're just that bad. And like then you compare them to like English ones, you see videos of it. It's like you've got like when you've got comes back to English one. It's like someone's got like an inflatable penis and they go, we want our dick back. We want our dick back. It's like
I think you should try and screen share some American chants for YouTube because some of them are funny. Let's see if I can hear some of them.
One that I liked was obviously Rangers had a player called Filip Helander, who was notoriously bad. And anytime Celtic were playing somebody and they hit the ball over the crossbar, the whole stadium, 60,000 fans would just go, Shibo, Shibo, even to the point of today, that is still a notorious chant at Parkhead.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not often you're glorified by your rivals for that long.
I think you look at some of the other ones. You've got like I think as Scotland fans, I think one of the most common ones. I think it appeared on The Chase as a question. We're going to deep fry your pizzas.
I heard a chant. Well, it wasn't a chant. It was just a shout at a match one time where Scotland were taking on Czech Republic, and a fan behind me shouted out, "Come on, Scotland! Cast these dodgy Czechs!"
Actually, I like that one.
We used to sing a song. It was on the radio, right? My pal Craig, his uncle used to go about Scotland all the time, and he'd sing, "The wallpaper sticks to the wall, and the wallpaper sticks to the wall," and it'd have different choruses, but it's like, and the first chorus or the first verse, and it'd be all the same, just wallpaper sticks to the wall. If you type him up on YouTube, wallpaper sticks to the wall, I think his name's Ricky, and he's just every airport in the country when Scotland would go abroad, he would just be singing that same song over and over again. Quite funny. Yeah.
And then the other one that I remember was about 2012, with all the financial troubles at Rangers, and we were playing the Old Firm game and we won 3-0. It was 3-0 at the 70th minute. The stadium was bouncing, as you can imagine, and then it was like a cutout of Craig White going around the stadium, and the stadium's going, Craigie White, Craigie White, Craigie White. But my favourite bit was the Rangers fans started walking out the tunnel, and 60,000 Celtic fans in unison just keep going, always look on the bright side of life.
Was that Ibrox?
I was at Parkhead.
Parkhead, aye, because you would have played that for the speakers.
Yeah.
Aye.
That was quite funny because that was the PR guy getting involved.
Aye.
Oh. Mitchell, who comes up with the better chance, the football fans or the rugby fans?
I'm gonna say probably football fans. The funniest thing I've ever heard at a rugby match, it was Six Nations years ago, Scotland, Italy. Guy in front of me, you've got obviously fans are all mixed together. Guy in front of me, sitting, just turns around, so there's a couple, like 4 or 5 Italian fans sitting behind. He turns around and goes, "What's Italian for you're getting humped?" Shouts it at them. They have no idea what he said, but it's funny.
If you just ask, you could ask Martin that question, but he only kens the what is yes or I can boogie. That's the only thing he knows in Italian.
Oh yes. Well, let us know in the comments below what your favourite and funniest. Oh, Mitch wants to say
Before
something.
we go, as a Chelsea fan, we have to get an honourable mention. Celery.
Seller. Oh yes.
There was one in the Football Daft podcast where the guy who's a Falkirk fan says there was a chant that used to go about called Eddie May's got a massive cock or something like that. I don't know, but he tried to like sing it out to us. It's hilarious.
There's
There was another
also-
one with this guy doing a chant about something. Was it a Brecon fan or something about a tractor? That was pretty funny as well. He actually had him on the show. They brought him on the show and he basically sung the song for him because they didn't realise how it went.
There's another one about Tam Scobie and Victoria Beckham.
Or the one about Davy Weir and David Beckham. And when he shags Becks, he thinks Davy Weir, something like that.
Well,
I can remember them on the train coming back for Scotland games back in the day.
yes, well, on that crude thought, we're going to end the podcast. Let us know your funniest and favourite football chants in the comments below. Thank you for joining us this evening, Ian.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
I hope you've had fun and spent had the most fun you can spend in that evening when you're victorious in the Glasgow Derby.
Yeah.
Enjoy your beers after the podcast, which I'm sure will be coming. And yes, please let us know your thoughts on the podcast. Who should have won the Old Firm today? There you go. I'll use your terminology, Ian. Is Ronaldo the correct signing for Man U? Is he the best signing of the transfer window in the Premier League? Is Arteta the right man for Arsenal? And what is your favourite chant at the football game?
And are Spurs going to win the league?
No. The Sports Hub Podcast.
Sports Hub Podcast, way.